welcome today to today's social enterprise MeetUp Addis. My name is Adnan Mesfin. I'm the Chief Executive Officer, and we are delighted to be here on two accounts. One, because we're again back at the Embassy of Switzerland, thanks to our favorite and our supportive ambassador in Addis. So we want to firstly thank the Embassy for hosting us, especially at your residence. So thank you very much. If you could please give a round of applause. The other occasion is that today we're celebrating Social Enterprise Day. A lot of people took their picture. Social Enterprise Day was last week, but we extended so we could celebrate it here. Social Enterprise Ethiopia is really delighted to be, after a small gap, restarting our MeetUp Addis with two incredibly inspirational leaders speaking today. Just before we move to the main program, I'd like to invite the ambassador to come and say a few words of welcome.
Thank you very much, Adeno, and to all our guests for coming. I think I'm having this event or hosting this event the third time, if I'm not mistaken, and it's always a great pleasure because it also brings me into another world, a world which normally as a diplomat you are not so often in touch. Of course, we are in touch with business people, also Swiss companies, of course, but I think social entrepreneurs are a category on their own. And it's always fascinating to be in touch with, at this crossroad of doing business, but using business to generate something for a good cause. So it's a business logic. At the same time, it is actually to help to develop a society, to help to develop your country. So for me, this is a very particular crossroad, and I love to be in touch with it as often as I can. It's not too often I have the chance, but that is why I'm always very happy when I get the request to host an evening like this. So thank you so much for coming. You are the first group being hosted in this house, in this residence, because we have moved. Many of you probably went to the wrong place, to the old place. It is the old and the new place, because in 3 years or something we will move back there. But in the meantime, our construction company has to build a new residence and a new embassy. In the meantime, we have moved here. 6 weeks ago, we have moved here. So it's the first time now we have the pleasure to host a bigger group like you in this house. So we are very honored to have you as also our experiment in a certain way. And also to the garden, which is much smaller than at the old place. After the insightful discussion I'm sure we will have, and very inspiring inputs, we will have the occasion to have dinner together. I'm looking forward to that as well. But for the moment, thank you again for being here. Thank you, the two guest speakers. I'm sure I will learn a lot and new things from you. And thank you to Social Enterprise Ethiopia for giving me the opportunity to host again. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Ambassador. We're really honored to be here. And thank you for supporting us and for opening your residence to us. Thank you so much. I want to first again thank Ms. Chadam and Dagmari for being our guests today. They both have very interesting stories. If you like jam, like I do, like my son does, then you may favor Ms. Chadam. If you are wary of agricultural problems, Dagmari was saying that they have to pay out more this year because of the climate change problems that farmers have faced in Ethiopia, then you'd like mine. But I like both of them. So, and I'm sure I learned from both of you. I originally we had expected Shannon to start, but I think Dagmar is going to start. The men always want to trust.
Yeah.
I'm kidding.
Understandable.
I'm kidding.
So you're putting me on the spot.
Please
Alrighty.
give a round of applause to Dagmar.
I've actually insisted for her to start. I want everyone to know that before I go into my speech for today. So good evening, everyone. Mein Name is Shachu. Guys, where's the energy? Where's the energy? Good evening.
Good evening.
Yes. So my name is Dagmar Jesus. I am the regional manager for Pula, an agriculture insurance company, which I'll talk to you about in a few. And today we're here together to talk about a social enterprise, Pula, which is now on our third set of investment backed by IFC. However, very much started as a very small company with 2-3 employees somewhere in Kenya. Now we present over 19 markets, and what we do is very innovative in a sense where we're pushing a very progressive agenda, which is agriculture insurance. Personally, let me say a few things about myself. I'm born and raised in Addis. By profession, I'm an engineer, but just like most Ethiopians in this room, I'm sure I'm doing a different thing, which is insurance. And I'll tell you how I ended up there. I went to school in Addis as well, high school, but then joined AIT. Anyone from Mskilo? Yeah, so I was in the engineering faculty for Addis Ababa University for 2-3 years. Then had an opportunity to study abroad, jumped into a few sectors, started from the beverage industry. As I said, I'm an engineer by training, so chemical and bioengineering was what I did as a first degree. And went to banking because the beverage industry was not really interesting, you guys would know, right? And nothing challenging for me personally. Went to banking because people told me investment banking is really interesting and it actually challenges you a lot. There's a lot to do, so many challenges to solve in Africa, so many challenges to solve across the world. That was, again, I was not really happy where I was because it was not challenging enough and I was not really working and solving the type of challenge that interests me personally. Then jumped into a startup space. I'm sure you know ALX by now. So ALX, before it became ALX, before it became ALU, ALA, supporting the founder as a chief of staff. So very interesting now, right? Working with youth, working with in the education sector, and most importantly, working in Africa. So right now we see ALX active in 12, 13 markets in Africa, which makes me super proud compared to where it started. But again, that was not enough. And that was when I found this company called Dahlberg. It's a management consulting firm, just like the McKinseys of the world and the others that support private businesses, governments in designing policies and strategies. And why Dahlberg stood out for me personally at the time was we really worked with the underserved community. It was not like the other consulting firms where we pretty much focused on solving big oil problems or pharma problems or, people that already have money. So we focused on social enterprises. We focused, for example, my very first project in Ethiopia was supporting the Ministry of Health and small and medium enterprises in manufacturing face masks and soaps for COVID. So this was 5 years ago. I'm sure COVID, it's been 5 years, right? Guys, time runs, time flies. So this was 5 years ago, but we worked with so many small social enterprises that really made me happy. And beyond that, we worked on advocacy level works. At that time, I supported a lot of African countries, governments, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Education, Ministry of Health, in designing strategies and policies. In case of specific to Ethiopia, I led the work of the National Industry Policy, which I'm sure you'd have a lot of comments on. Following that, I worked on the export strategy for the Ethiopian government, which is now, after so many years, is going to be implemented just now. We did this 3 years ago, guys. And I think at that time, I feel like I found the right place for me because we don't run away from problems. That's what you said, right? We solve them. And I think I realized personally I have a knack for problem solving. So you will eventually, every time you'll find me trying to solve crazy problems, joining, organizations with big missions, and getting challenged here and there. So about 2 years ago, when Pula was about to enter the Ethiopian market, I found another problem for me, right? Another challenge, because agri-insurance is a very progressive agenda. Pula tried to join the Ethiopian market in 2016. It was not successful. So now we wanted to do a second run at it. Now this time around, the only difference was I was a part of the team. And today's presentation will pretty much focus on how we made it work in Ethiopia. Right now as Pula, I am the regional manager for East Africa. I oversee Ethiopia, Kenya, Uganda, Tanzania as a few markets that we operate in. Launching Somalia, Mogadishu, Somalia, very recently, also expanding into North Africa. So my work pretty much focuses on partnership with governments, development organization, and private sector to ensure that we design and execute insurance products that support smallholder farmers. I led the market entry to Ethiopia 2 years ago, which is now about to become Pula's largest market. In Ethiopia, there is a delivery channel called IVS, Input Voucher System. Through that system, we reach 7.5 million farmers on our insurance product. So pretty much committed to the development sector, and would want to walk you through what we've done to get Ethiopia to work. But before that, I'll take you a step back why agriculture insurance is important. As you know, predictable and extreme weather events has become a very challenging issue for smallholder farmers. Not even for smallholder farmers, for us. Back then, rain was very predictable. It starts raining in May, ends before New Year's. This year we've seen it was raining until very recently. And imagine being a farmer where your life would just depend on rain. And that comes to the genesis of the name of our business. Pula means rain. And we ensure the rains. So we ensure that rains come on time. And if they don't, farmers will get payouts. If you go to Kenya, there's a recent study, due to droughts and floods, 1 out of 4 Kenya every year will not have a food to eat. You jump to Nigeria, 2 years ago, 7 out of 10 Nigerians didn't have anything to eat. You go to Mozambique, in the southern part of Africa, where cyclones are very prone. Last year, about $1 billion loss of worth of loss was registered due to a cyclone. So what this tells us, all in all, is climate change is very serious, and it's actually happening, and it really has affected agricultural productivity. And how it's affected agricultural productivity is rains are not raining in time. Even if a rain rains, the problem sometimes would be heavy, and it would usually get to floods. Hailstorm has become very serious. Cyclones as well, they've been issues. So every year in Africa, there's a crop loss close to $4 billion. That's a lot of money. And that does not include livestock. When you add livestock, it will come to 12-13 billion. So in order to reverse the climate change effects, there are 2 major things that could be done. There's climate change mitigation, I'm sure you've heard of it, and then there's climate change adaptation. There are mitigation programs here and there, usually very expensive to implement, and then there's adaptation programs. Agriculture insurance is one of the climate change adaptation tools that have become very common right now across multiple countries. So as Pula, we believe it's one of the key mechanisms to adapt to climate change, but then the uptake is very small. Guess how many farmers in Africa have agriculture insurance? Give me a percentage rate. Anyone? Less than 1%. 3%. You've read, yeah? On point. Less than 3%. And actually most of it is attributed to economies like South Africa, the better economies in the country. So even if we know agriculture insurance has 3-4 benefits, 1, it will compensate you for your yield loss, if you have a yield loss, because of any climate risks, could be drought, could be flood, you'll be compensated for it. 2, by having insurance in your portfolio, as a farmer, you'll feel confident to invest. One thing I've seen in Ethiopia, over the past 3 years, the use of credit to buy inputs being fertilizer, chemicals, have declined because farmers will buy 5 bags of fertilizer, which is recommended for their plot of land. That would come to 25,000 per. But then rain does not come, or drought will come. So whatever 25,000 birr investment they've put, it's not going to help them produce. So now they're scared. You know what they do? They'll buy 2 bags of fertilizer. And the effect of that naturally is their production will be very minimal. So having farmers insured, what we can naturally get farmers to commit to is to buy more inputs and build their resilience. And in the grand scheme of things, if farmers are producing, there will be an improved food security in the country. So why do you think agriculture insurance has had minimal uptake? Or we're saying less than 3%. As Pula, we have 2 sides of looking at it. One is the supply side, and then there's the demand side. Any insurance people in this house? Anyone that's worked with insurance before? How many insurance are there in the country right now? Anyone has an idea? 19. From the 19, how many do you think do engage in crop insurance schemes? That's 1. So 2. So there are 4 of them. Oromia, Niala, EIC, and Abai. From 19 insurance companies, only 4 engage in crop insurance. Do you know why? We have 2 reasons for it. One is crop insurance is very expensive and very risky. Let's say all of us in this room, we have cars and we get into a vehicle insurance. We insure our cars. If there is an accident, will all of us get in an accident the same day? Even if we get into an accident, will all of us get into the same type of accident, or the level of damage, would it be the same? No. That being said, when you're coming to agric insurance, if all of us live in the same company and drought comes, all of us get affected. So it's expensive. So it's a loss-making portfolio. So what they naturally would do is, when you ask them for a premium rate, there's an insurance, I will keep on using these terms, premium rate and total sum-insured. Total sum-insured is, for example, you have a car, the worth of the car is 1 million birr, and then the premium you have to pay to get it insured will be 2% or 3% of the total sum insured. The premium rates arbitrarily have been set to 35 and 40%. Do you know what that means for a smallholder farmer? If a smallholder farmer wants to insure a cropland for worth of 100,000 birr, they have to pay 35,000 birr, which is very expensive. And the reason it's expensive is these insurance companies, since they don't have the right tools to model the risks, they would just set arbitrary numbers so that they don't make loss in the portfolio. This year they would say 35%. Next year they would say 40%. That way the agricultural insurance landscape couldn't grow. So as Pula, what we do is we go to those insurance companies, we provide them with systems and tools that they can risk the model with actual data points, not with proxies, not with hearsays, not with what they do. So that way, in Ethiopia, for example, we were able to bring the premium rate down from 25% to 6%. So now, isn't that inclusive?
Yep.
6% is more affordable for a smallholder farmer than 25%. And then there are global reinsurers. Global reinsurers, as you know, in Amharic they call them Alafawastana. Not all the risk is sitting in country. 70% of the risk is pushed out with global reinsurers. But reinsurers will not come and work in Ethiopia because Oromia Insurance says so. They need to have a comfort in the system. So with us, 11, 12 reinsurers work, including Swiss Re, which has been our partner. And any market we go, they follow us. Now I'm launching a product in Somalia, Mogadishu. Fragile state, huh? But reinsurers will follow me because they trust my product, because they trust my systems, and they trust my processes. And on the flip side, on the demand side, there's government. Government is what we use to push these products through. They don't have enough understanding of agric insurance. So we help them design products, policies, and so on and so forth. So all in all, our role is some of an ecosystem enabler. We pride ourselves to be an ecosystem enabler. We get into a market, we basically see where the gap is, and we get it to work. And later on, when I come into the challenge part, that's what I'll pick up as a social enterprise, what we face to scale our operation. So as a product offering, so we're a technology company that provides this comprehensive insurance. We have 3 main products offerings. The first one is crop insurance. We insure over 22 value chains, crops, that includes cereals and beyond, that contributes to 70% of the food production. That's one. Second one, we have livestock insurance in pastoralist and agro-pastoralist areas. In Ethiopia, for example, southern Ethiopia and southeastern Ethiopia, and other parts of the world. And the third product we have is something we call disaster risk financing, which has become a very new discipline where whenever there's a disaster, traditionally governments will wait for what? For donor money to kick in. They'll come to the Swiss embassy and ask for money. Yeah? So that's how they do it, right? Ministry of Finance does not have a budget for disaster risk. Let's say a drought happens in Borana, they would go and lobby donors to contribute to it. But then if the government has insurance for disaster risk, an insurance payout will be set to the government. So this is a very new and progressive agenda that we've been working on across countries. So right now, to deliver this program at scale, as I said, we work with government, development partners, and investors, and we've reached 16 million farmers over the past 2 years. And this is across 19 markets, mostly in Africa and Asia, and insuring about 2.3 billion US dollars. So when you see what we've insured as a sum insured for the farmers, or in other words, if the 16 million farmers that we insured had a loss, we would have paid $2.3 billion, which is very large. And we work with many governments. If you go to Zambia, 75% of the farmers are under our program. If you go to Kenya, 40%. If you come to Ethiopia, we're getting there, but we've got to 20%. So we're growing as a market. Recently, we finalized our partnership with the World Bank's IFC and Gates Foundation, which have took 30% of our business in our Series B fundraiser. So backed by the World Bank and IFC, we're trying to push the solutions across the markets we operate in. Our flagship product is called Area Yield Index product. So we call it AYII. How does it work? There are so many insurance programs. Usually the most famous one is called Weather Yield Index. And how it works is they will have a satellite and they would see an area. Let's say this area, specifically Torhailoch area, and they will see the field. If it's green, like lush green, that means the season has performed well. No payout to the farmer. But then if it's a bit dry, it's an index. It would be calculated and then it would assume 20% loss, 10% loss, and payout will trigger. The problem we've seen with that specific product or the weather yield index, the weather index insurance product is, in some markets when we are operating, farmers will come and say, where's my payout? And we'll tell them, there's no payout for you because the satellite doesn't say so. And then they would ask us, call the satellite, let's talk to them. And you know why? It's because it only protected drought. These days, farmers are facing challenges beyond drought. And I'll tell you a specific example in Ethiopia. I was fighting with someone in Ministry of Agriculture and ATI, telling them this product needs to have hailstone, barado. They're like, Ethiopia, what barado? I'm not joking. There's no barado in Ethiopia. There's no hailstorm. It's not an issue. And then a year and a half ago, I got a call from a warada called the Napsi Sarmidir in Gojja, and they told me all their F crop, they saw loss because of barado. And I'm like, my guy, let's go now. Let me show you where the barado is. So when we're designing these products, our farmers are facing a lot beyond that drought. Traditionally, yes, drought is an issue. In Ethiopia, the past 3 seasons, farmers have reported more pests and diseases as a result for their losses than drought. This we've seen. So now we said, okay, this weather index product based on satellite will not work. So we came up with something called Area Yield Index. We call it AYII. It's the most comprehensive insurance product with only 3 exclusions. You know what the problem with insurance policy is? I'm sure most of us don't read our insurance policies, but within the footnote of the footnote of the footnote, it will tell you this is not covered. Right? Yeah, it will tell you. Exactly. They'll tell you, I'm not going to cover your side mirror being stolen. And you'll not see it. It's under the footnote of the footnote of the footnote. Somewhere in the back. So it's not comprehensive. So in Ethiopia, what we've seen, in the world actually, in our operation, what we've understood is, okay, let's move away from this weather index insurance, which is based on satellite. Let's make it more comprehensive, because that one just only covered drought. So when it's area yield index, we are on the field with the farmer together, harvesting, measuring the yield, and then whatever the period that triggered the payout, the farmer gets a payout. It could be anything, not just drought. So we are on. I wish there was a projector to show you pictures. So I'll show you how the product is designed. I'll walk you through how we're going to do it. But now we are covering them for drought, windstorm, heat wave, excessive rainfall, pests and diseases, hail, flood, so many things. Except for 3 things. And those 3 things are war, theft, and lazy farmers. We don't want them, right? Because one of the side effects or the bad side of insurance is farmers knowing that they would have payouts, they would tend to get lazy. So what we do is we visit them at least 3 times a season, and we have our field agents have an application on their phone. By the way, one thing we've seen in data collection, and I'm sure most of you guys know about this, they'll be sitting at their home and say, okay, farmer X has done this tick. So now our application will not work unless they're in the field of the farmer. So we have GPS locations. So you cannot be sitting in your home and saying, okay, farmer X has actually done top dressing. Farmer Y has actually done weeding. So you have to be on the farm visiting and seeing whether farmers have done that. Otherwise, they'll be rejected as it's a part of the exclusion. So our service delivery approach starts from the product design, which I told you area yield index. So what we do is at a Kabale level, we'll collect productivity data. So Kabale X produces on average 10 metric ton per hectare. Kabale Y produces 9 metric ton per hectare. This data is available. With that data, an insurance policy will be designed. During the season, we do farmer registration and awareness creation. We just don't provide insurance and go away and come at the end of the season. I have over 1,000 agents on the field where, this is just in Ethiopia, where they do awareness creation, they do road shows, they do meetings during Iddirs, they do meetings during Hukubs, they do meetings during monthly farm meetings. We have a woman to woman and men to men group. We teach them financial inclusion. And we do, about 65% of our farmers, they have phone numbers. So we use something called IVR, integrated voice recordings. So there's pre-recorded message that they get a phone call. We tell them what the insurance covers, what it doesn't cover, how it works. They get 15, 16 pre-recorded messages throughout the season. Then during the season, we do the loss assessment. We go into the farms. We harvest with the farmers together. For example, if Kabale X is producing on average 10 metric ton per hectare, and we go and do a harvest with the farmer and it's 9, we compensate the farmer for that 1 metric ton loss. Let's say Kabale X, as I said, is 10 metric ton per hectare and the farmer produces 12, good for him. No loss that we're going to compensate. Let's say that farmer didn't produce anything, 2, 3 or whatever, we compensate for that amount. So how did we get into Ethiopia? And I think that the main thing I want all of you to take from this lesson is mostly in this section of the presentation. Persistence. 2016 we came into the market. It was not easy. The market was ready. At that time, no one even used ATM cards. Forget wanting to get insurance for agriculture insurance. No one used mobile money. Because what we do, there are fintechs, right? What our side of business is like insurtech. So fintechs were not accepted, leave alone insurtechs coming in and telling Ethiopian government and farmers, we're going to fix your problem. So what we did is, from that time, persistently, we pushed governments to understand the benefits of insurance. So 2016 didn't work, 2017 didn't work, but there's this saying we use internally, keep a warm relationship. That person might not be useful to you today. That person might not be useful to you for the next 10 years. But have a warm relationship. Just, drop them a message, send them an email, send them reports, so that they'll always remember of you whenever they're ready. 2021, we got a call from Ministry of Agriculture. And they're like, you guys, you sell insurance, huh? They're like, we don't sell insurance, but let's talk. How can we help? So they say, the government of Ethiopia is investing over $1 billion in inputs every year. And remember, this is 2022 and Forex was a huge challenge, right? And, it's not, farmers will buy the inputs, the fertilizers specifically, yet their productivity is going down year on year. So how do we compensate them? Farmers are stopping using fertilizers because of that. So we got into a meeting in November 2022 where the Ministry of Agriculture officially announced Ethiopian farmers need climate risk insurance. And this is after 5 years of persistence. So lesson number 1 is, if something is not going to work for you now, doesn't mean it's not going to ever work. There's always timing for it. You wait for your time. But until then, you don't just sit down. We always send Ethiopian government reports so that they always remember us. We send them case studies. We send them what we've done in Kenya. We send them what we've done in Zambia. So always be persistent, because sometimes some things take time, and especially selling for government. Who here sells for government? Anyone? Yeah, it takes time. It takes time. And people take their sweet time. So don't lose your hope. So after 5 years, they found us. When they found us, we told them our offering, and there was a workshop that was conducted with Ministry of Agriculture, ATI, and we said, okay, now we're going to start something. But before we start, in Ethiopia, there were some insurance pilots, about 15 of them before Pula, but none of them scaled. So MOA, Ministry of Agriculture at the time, said, ATI being how many of you know Agriculture Transformation Institute? Is the government's machinery for research and development in the agriculture sector. So it reports to the Ministry of Agriculture, but they do all the cool slides and research, and they have really nice and smart analysts in there that do a lot of research for them. So ATI was tasked to conduct a study, basically that focuses on what was the problem of those past 15 pilots. And now we're going to get into the interesting part. There were 5 major problems. And if Pula was going to work, we had to adapt and solve for those problems. That's lesson number 2. Before you launch anything, I'm sure someone has tried something before you. You learn from that. I'm sure someone has failed. So lesson number 2 is, don't just launch something, learn. Do your desk research. So we did our desk research. 5 problems came out. Number 1, these programs are heavily donor funded. So what that means is donors will only focus on small pilots in specific areas. Let's say 2-3 waradas. And the offering was voluntary. In this room, if I go around trying to sell insurance, I'm sure only 5 or 4 people will buy voluntarily. The rule of thumb in the industry right now, insurance cannot be a standalone offering. It needs to be bundled. Sostenya Organ Insurance is your good example. How many people in Ethiopia had third-party insurance for their vehicle before the government made it mandatory? No one. Once it was mandatory, everyone had it. 40, 50 years ago, when people were buying air tickets, they were being asked for insurance separately. And people can opt in and opt out. No one opted in. What did they do? Now I'm sure when you go back, find your flight ticket and you click on that plus thingy, I'm sure there's tax, whatever, insurance. So the rule of the thumb is you bundle insurance. When you're making it voluntary, what happens is you'll have smaller target group. The risk is not diversified. The risk will be focused in one area. What would that do? If a risk is concentrated in this room, naturally what that means is there is a high chance of payout if a risk comes. So the premium rate will be higher. Simple as that. So when the risk is concentrated in 2-3 waradas, the premium rate is expensive. What I said earlier, 35-40%, which is not affordable. So that way, you will not get any farmers to sign up for your program. So when we came in, what we did is, okay, let's bundle it. Rule number 1. When we bundle it, we'll get large number of farmers diversified across different areas, hence the premium rate will go down. What it means is it will become affordable for the farmer. So right after that, I think what we've done is lesson number 3. Don't sell ideas and dreams. Sell proof of concepts. Lesson number 3. Some things will look cute on paper, but you cannot sell that. Right? As a social enterprise, we have great ideas. We might be so good at making slides. We might be so good at pitching ideas, but then proof of concept is okay. Let's say you're doing a water purifying machine. Hypothetical example. Don't go and sell that to the Ministry of Water and Irrigation on paper. Show them the evidence. What we did is we took Ethiopian government officials to Zambia to show them how our insurance program is working. After learning what the gaps were. So we showed them, this is how it works. This is how the government of Zambia has over 60... This is how the government of Zambia has over 60%, 70% of its farmers under our program. Then, learning from past pilots, we're able to launch a pilot in Ethiopia that had 120,000 farmers in 2023. This was already tenfold the pilots. Prior to our program, the largest Ethiopian government has insured this, 12,000 farmers in a season. So what did we do? We found something called the input voucher system, which is the only legal system farmers can buy inputs. So when they go to purchase fertilizer for 5,000 birr, they will add another 100 birr for insurance premium, which is mandatory. Now you've bundled it. That way premium rate from 30-40% has come down to 4% now. Significantly. Farmers are paying just 100 birr to get insurance as opposed to the thousands they've been paying. We also reached large number of farmers. Risk is diversified. And at the end of the day, we're building the resilience. So we started that program, and working with government allowed us to ensure sustainability, and working with farmers also helped us to build and gain their trust. The first pilot we've done in 2023, we paid about 40 million birr in Ethiopia. Again, the largest ever. We collected 52 million birr, we paid 40 million birr, which is the largest ever. Past insurance pilots have paid the maximum 1 million birr. So, second season now, which was irrigation season last year, we're paying out now about 15 million birr in Ethiopia. If you take Zambia, this year we paid about $30 million US dollars, which is the largest ever in Africa, to 500,000 farmers. That was done through the Zambia program I told you about earlier, and there was the El Nino drought. So hopefully, that's where we want to go in Ethiopia and grow the market to. There's over 7.5 to 10 million farmers in this input voucher system. So now I'll tell you where we are. We started with 120,000 farmers. We want to build the confidence of farmers to get into this program so that by the time any climate-related incident comes, we're there to safeguard their investment and the money they put in, and will build their resilience. So where are we now this year? So I said 2023 we started with 122,000 farmers. Now we're at 1 million farmers. This is just over a year. 10x growth has never been seen anywhere in this business. Next year we're targeting to get to 3 million, which is again another impressive number in the agri-insurance landscape. We started with Oromia Insurance as a partner. Now we have Oromia, Niala, Africa, EIC, and ABA. We have 5 of them. We started with 7 full-time staff, employee 001 for Ethiopia here, with 150 field agents. Today we have 35 staff centrally and over 1,000 field agents at the Kabale level. So there's a huge job creation opportunity that we cannot undermine. And finally, there are 4 things I would want to leave you with beyond the 3 that I shared. Who wants to remind me the 3 things before I jump into the new 4 things? Persistence is one.
Don't sell dreams.
Sorry?
Don't sell dreams.
Don't sell dreams.
Learn from
Give your-
those who failed.
Exactly. So, in terms of your product design, always be persistent. Second, don't sell dreams, sell proof of concepts. And most importantly, the third one was? Proof, right? So, what were the challenges in Ethiopia? I have 4 of them. And I'm sure this we all face in our businesses. Personally, I tried to be in business, my own business. I've tried to run my own business. I've done it for a year and I haven't realized I'm not cut out for it. By the way, that's also a good realization, to know what you're cut out and what you're not cut out for. I said I'm not, but you know what I can do better? I can solve your problems, right? Anyone who has business can come to me and I'll be your fixer. But I cannot run a business. I've seen it. And I failed miserably, not the easy way. I failed miserably, burned so much money. So also know what you can do and what you can't do, right? Because there's also this notion that everyone wants to become entrepreneur. I'm like, I go on LinkedIn and entrepreneur of X, entrepreneur of, we all don't need to be entrepreneurs, right? I'm exhibit A. I saw it, I cannot be an entrepreneur. I am not an entrepreneur, right? So first challenge I faced is regulatory environment, right? I'm sure when you come with all these beautiful ideas of yours, some regulation will slap you on the face. Yeah, now I'm talking your pain. So, regulatory environment, especially in the banking and insurance sector, it's very challenging. NBE is always looking for a fault, the National Bank of Ethiopia. What are you doing? Who are you doing it with? So, they never had a framework for insurance for companies of like mine to come and operate in Ethiopia. Fintechs, they just figured it out at that time. So fintechs could come into the market and operate, but companies like Pula, insurtechs, there was no clear legal framework for us to operate. After we started operating, we brought in people in the market, we invested money. They came and told me, okay, we're going to take you to prison for 2 days, and this and that, and whatever, so many things. And we were so shocked, right? We're doing good for the government. We're working with the government, don't forget. We're working with Ministry of Agriculture, regional bureaus. And yet, why are we being fined for this? And funny enough, some of the people that are actually doing this knew about our operation from day one. They were with us. They were signing papers. They were in the pictures with us. But when, things get started, they're like... They even went on a few trips with us. And when we started operating on it, when they're seeing the scale, and they know they cannot control it, they're like, now we need to sit and talk. I'm like, what happened? Couldn't we do this like 2 years ago when everything started? So how do you navigate about this? I think the best way to navigate about this regulatory issues is one, and I like what you said about the proclamation that you guys are doing, right? There's the Startup Act, which is also being pushed in the market. So working closely with government is always important because there's a space or a time that they would come and block you. So we found out from our experience in other markets is we lobbied for something called a sandbox. How many of you know what a sandbox is in the regulatory space? So a sandbox is a space where you can do practically anything and test a model even if there's no clear regulation that would guide it. So we lobbied for an insurance sandbox. Now because of us, there are 3 more agri-insurance companies that are in the market. By the way, I always say this. We're threatened of competition. Please let's not be Ethiopia is a big market. How many ride-hailing companies are there right now? Is the market saturated yet? Nope. So don't be scared of competition. It will only make you desire. Look at Ethiopia. I always give this example. Ethiopia became better at what they do, cheaper, affordable in a way, and more after Safaricom came into the picture. So competition is not bad because it will make you more innovative and creative. So I always say that to everyone, right? So that sandbox has helped us to become more innovative, to push, to improve as an organization. Second one is capacity. There is little to none capacity when you want to implement stuff from government to your user department. My user department being farmers. So there's a lot of capacity building element that we do with farmers. As I said, we train them on insurance. Capacity building to government for them to better understand what insurance is, and so on and so forth. So always push on that angle. And then, what's one of the headaches of private sectors in Ethiopia? We're not trusted, eh? Yeah. And I think that comes from the Derg mentality of not enabling private sectors to work in the market. And I don't think that has left us as a country. So whereas you are as a private sector, you should be encouraged. You should be encouraged to innovate. You should be encouraged to push. You should be encouraged to do new things. Yet that's not the space, and I'm sure you'll tell us more about it from the Ethiopian context. So I always do say the only way you can get that mistrust out is again by proof of concept. So what we've done is we found catalytic funding. Always, sometimes when you're doing this kind of things, there's always fundings out there to try all of these new ideas, right? So use the catalytic funding to prove your concept. Use the catalytic funding to showcase what you do. And then slowly people will come to you. Last week I was in a meeting. My normal Dagmawi, the Pula Ethiopia guy, was trying to hustle people and, start talking to donors here and there, running around. And, one of my bosses, you know what he said to me? Dagi, you've got to a point where now people will come to you. You don't have to go to them. Little did I know. I was like, are you sure? Like, Dagi, just trust me and sit down. We're in a meeting. And some people in this room were at that meeting. So I'm sure you know which meeting I'm talking about. I did my presentation and I didn't huddle anyone. I didn't take anyone to the side. I didn't ask for business cards. People came to me. And they're like, Dagmawi, now we want to talk. Here is our card. Call us. So I think the great lesson here is if we are all in this country, it's because we chose to be. I'm sure most of us had opportunities to be out of this country doing other things maybe cool things, better things elsewhere, something that's probably gonna reward you better in some way, and so on and so forth. But when we choose Ethiopia, it's because we believe in the vision that we have in all our businesses. It's because I personally believe it's here or nowhere. Even if I'm overseeing multiple markets beyond Ethiopia, I'm still in Ethiopia, selling the Pula Ethiopia dream until we get to those 10 million farmers in crop insurance, livestock insurance, and disaster risk finance. I don't think I'll be able to sleep. So the lesson to the young people in the room, as well as the seasoned professional in the room, is we don't do easy things, and when you're doing hard things, it's always challenging. You lose some hair. Clearly, I'm sure with that light you can see that my receding hairline is. Some people that know me a few years back can tell you that I had better hairline. But the thing is, when you do hard things and challenging things, it's never easy. There are so many sleepless nights, but we do it for a vision, to transform our country, to transform our continent, to transform and help people that are underserved. For me, it's the Ethiopian farmers. They're the underserved community. They deserve attention. They deserve commitment, and more than anything, they deserve to be protected from climate risks, because they've not contributed anything towards climate change. So together, I think we can. And thank you very much for hearing me.
Hair.
Exactly.
Because we're running very behind time, I will not comment, but just thank you. Really interesting and insightful presentation. I will swiftly, unfortunately, move to Liz Chatham, who will share her experience with us. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really inspiring. I'm going to start by asking a question. How many of you know the date? Okay. Yeah, that's good. So today you are going to hear about the story, how it started. Are you excited about it? Yes, that's good. Well, my name is Yezi Chalem Kasa, and I'm a CEO and the founder of Dade Agro Industry PLC. And my background is a health professional. I'm a nurse and a pharmacist, and I have been working with several capacity, being a nurse in the prison administration, where I could really sympathize how prisoners feel. And also as a family planning nurse, helping women. And from there, for a long time, I have been working with Catholic Relief in Ethiopia's very sad season in drought. And I was also working as a nurse and a nutritionist in the drought season in drought areas. And I was also working Oxfam as a health program advisor, managing different projects in different countries, like even in country level, like in Kenya also. So how then, if I'm a health professional, how do I becoming an entrepreneur in making jam? Well, I have always a question for myself, and that question was, why do we import everything from abroad? I mean, when I start from, looking, I'm an Ethiopian girl, raised up in the rural area, and I was always thinking of my, fellow Ethiopian mothers, and even the needles, even the pins, everything is imported. And then when I grow up, and then when I go to the supermarkets and everything, even the clothes we buy, the shoes, and that was also always my question, why? Why don't we have something for ourselves? So in that regard, I really left my good job. I was almost a regional space in the health program advisor, and I just, this time I just sit down and think for myself, what am I going to do for the next chapter of my life? So I thought about it, and I tried several things before I came up here. Like where I was thinking that, okay, Ethiopia is growing wheat. Why do we import pasta? So I did start on that regards, making pasta, spaghetti. Even today I don't buy. I just make from my home. But when I think I'm not a business person, so when I share this idea, the investment is too huge. Where are you going to get the money? And I said, okay, then if it's too much, I'm not going to be then. And then I do another thing, and several things. Even in the cake space, in the bread, I do several. Because I'm a nurse, I always do see also the nutritional aspects. So before all these bread companies are coming, I started trying several grains, multi-grain breads and so on. And then finally, I experimented, and it was good and proved. And then I consulted one of my friends. I said, okay, now I'm going to do a bread business. And she took me to one of the place, and we were discussing it. What's your plan? I'm going to have to bake a different type of breads, which is healthy and nutritious, and I'm going to do it in an electric oven. An electric oven, yeah. No. Because electric is very expensive and you have to do it in wood. No. I know Ethiopia is covered in 3% of the forest, so I'm not going to do much harm to, and then I dropped that. So finally, when I go to the fruit and vegetable markets by that time I was going to shopping for at Caltara in Piazza. I saw a lot of wastes, especially in season. It really sometimes even people can fall down because of it's all, almost, especially the papayas. And then I said, okay, maybe I do something about this. And then, when I go outside, I have been traveling quite extensively, both locally and internationally, and I always communicate with farmers and especially with women. I just love sitting and talking with women under the tree. That was what I have done, for a long time. So, and when I work on the farmers, there is also, lots of fruit under the tree. And then I sit down and I go to the supermarket to look around, and there was nothing except my tea. So, and then I have to do this. And then I start this experimenting in my home for several years, even making jam. There was one small community shops besides my home. I just asked the person, can I just put this in? Maybe if there are a lot of foreigners where I live, and if they tasted and comment something, and then I would be really encouraged. And then I said, yeah, bring some more. And then, before I do it, I have to continue experimenting, even taking my products to Nazareth, where there's hot place, in Bahir Dar, in Drayadawa, determining the shelf life and so on. Taking to the laboratory every 6 months, every year, and every 2 years. And then after I established everything into the recipe aspects, and then I did, okay, maybe where am I going to work? Where is the machinery is going to come? And then I had one Danish friend. My husband has been educated in Denmark. So I just shared this idea and said, yes, I will help you. He's an engineer. I'm going to find, a factory, even you can come and visit. And then maybe we can do something about the machinery. And then I was very happy and went to Denmark and visit a factory and learn something from them, and talked to the technologist and agreed a small machine, and we brought that machine. Before we ordered it, it was in Denmark, and then it's in Djibouti. And then I asked somebody, how are you going to import this? I just importing. What? How? You have to have a license, you have to have an investment certificate, blah, blah. Okay, then hold on. And then I have to go to the investment office and get a certificate so that I would be able to bring the machine. And the machine, thanks to God, and the machine arrived at our home. Praise God, we have a good space to place the machine. And then I was, looking for rental to start. And, oh my God, the rental space. And they were saying that I couldn't afford to rent, and start the project. And then I said, okay. We waited. And when I do the practice, the experiment, there was, maybe some of you know, the Addis glass factory. They used to produce a glass jar. And that was why I be able to start, because I would buy from them. And then after a year, when the machine is here, I went to the jar factory, and they said that they have stopped it. And then I said, what am I going to do? The machine is already there, and I'm finished with everything, and they're not going to manufacture a glass jar. And I said that I'm not going to do it in plastic, because there's no food grade plastic here. And I know, I have to have several steps, how it's packed in plastic so that it would be beneficial to the health aspect. So I said, okay, there's no room, there is no space to erect the machine, there is no jar to put the product, so I have to think again. And then, I have a very great supportive husband. He said, okay, we have a very good space at the back, and there's a very nice garden like this, so let's do something over there. And then we put a very nice erect a shed, and then we started to produce over there. And then regarding the jar, okay, Yezic, let's do it. This is your passion. Don't think about it to get a benefit or break even the first time, but let's import at least 20-feet container from China or from somewhere. And then Yezic doesn't know how to import it. I don't have any experience. But I have surrounded with good friends, and there was one friend of mine, she was importing some clothes from China, and how do you import? She told me so many jargons, which I know now, FOBs, blah, 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 blah. Okay, how do I start it? And then you have to go to the bank, and so literally she just take to the bank, and then we facilitate, and we import the first 20-feet container glass, and we started at the back of my house, and starting in the market in 2009. So then, the market was good, people love our products, and then what do? I have to expand it. So how do I be able to expand? And then I went to that Sabah investment bureau, and he said, apply for a land. And I did, and I waited, there was nothing. And then somebody advised me, okay, why don't you go to the Romania region? Maybe there's a space. And then I went, and I was successful. And we got an investment license again to the Romania region, and we will be able to acquire a 5,000 square meter land in Tadak. And then we built a very nice, first-class factory. We'll be able now around over 50% of employee, 80% of women. I'm sorry.
Inclusive. Inclusive.
Yeah. And and we were really very happy to reach here, because it was 1%, now to 55%. It was in the kitchen, and then to the backyard, and now it's a factory. And our factory is an international certified. My heart always to go to my children. I consider all Ethiopian children as my children. If my children don't eat this, I don't give it to anybody. And that is my passion. I mean, it's born out of passion. It will continue. So some people ask me, why do you have all these certificates? It's costly, it's time taking. Why? Because Ethiopia, you can go and get a certificate from Food and Drug Authority, and that's enough. I said, no, it's not enough. I mean, why? What's wrong about it if Ethiopia gets an international standard? So I'm going and getting. I have three will be finished. Called ISO. It's a food and also food safety, and now we are FSC 22000. It's another international health safety, and now we are also BRCGS. So we are giving to our people what we have the best, what I believe the Ethiopian people deserve to get the best, and now we are supplying to hotels, universities, about 400 supermarkets all over, and shops, and name it. And now I'm thinking also to export, to penetrate the international market. I always say that we have so many good things and we have to share to the world. And one of the products is here. So we'll be exporting to some other countries. And in short, that's how that is born. And I'm sure you'll have some questions. There's a lot of challenges. Even this past years, there was a year-end with tax office, there is a huge challenge, and also, for us it was good. My background is a nurse, and thank God I have a great opportunity to travel even outside. And the moment I think and decide that I'm going to have a manufacturing plant, if I get a chance to travel, the first thing is there any factory around? I said, yes, I want to visit. Are they okay to show it to us? Some say yes, and I always say and bring the good part to here. So that was also another thing. Just think big, start small, be resilient. There is 1,000. I could say that. The problem in our nation is countless, but always focus on your dream. If you always dream, I'm sure one day you will be successful, because it's everything. It starts here in their mind, and you start alone, and you multiply. So in the near future, we are going to bring with you several snacks for the kids, as well as even now it's also nutritional. We'll be thinking of a new product of fruit dry, variety of fruit dry products for the snacks instead of abu walad. And we are also would like contribute to some children micronutrients deficiencies. Also, we are piloting to produce, because there is a lot of eye problem, especially in the children in our country. So we are also thinking of, even it's in the pilot form, to produce papaya powder, which is very high in vitamins, so that it could be blended with children's food, and also even in any season. So we're thinking to diversify our products and bring you some nutritious and healthy products for the future. And I'm happy to be here, and I'm happy also.
Where's the bread? Let's start.
And also, yeah, and yeah, next time the bread is from you. Yeah, and I'm happy that you are also supporting our farmers because it's an agricultural product.
True.
So I'm planning several things to bring new products to you, and it will be definitely the same quality, the same consistent. From our clients' sides, we have never been turned down. If we just start any supermarket or any shops, if they start today, we divorce if they stop and close it. Otherwise, we're always their suppliers. So it's because we have to maintain your consistency, maintain your quality, whatever you produce, whatever you plant, whatever you work, you have to be an excellent on what you do. So that's the day. Thank you.
We have 15 minutes only for question and answers. But first, please give another question. Go through your stories, interact on service, really a service to Ethiopia, service to people, service to those that are serving us. And I find you inspirational, and I want to thank both of you for sharing your stories. I can take probably one round of questions, and you're only allowed 1 minute to ask questions. Please don't.
1 minute. 1 minute is a lot.
You don't go to the old Swiss embassy and come back here. Okay, Jonathan, 1, 2,
This side.
yes, women, for any women? Maybe 6, depending on how quickly.
I also have a question for her.
Insurance.
So that's the question.
We'll allow everyone to ask a question, and then you don't get the answers. Okay, and yeah.
Thank you very much. My name is Jonathan. I'm a project facilitator, the marketer. I have a question for Dagmar. So, you have a lot of members in the farmers, but quick question. So, do you facilitate their network between them? And what seems to the younger generation? So, are you networking? Do you have consultancy? Do you have creativity sharing between each other? Do you visit their family? And these farmers know your everything. So, do they share to their children, to their kids, and to their environment also? So, what's on that side? And for Nicola Tijezic, so I want to ask you that I know about Zadeh, and you have a lot of challenge about the import and export things. So even about the dollar exchange like that. So you gone throughout many challenges, but who do you teach next? So. Like we call it in Wagesha in Ethiopia, so they always know it, but they didn't transfer knowledge. So, do you give training on YouTube, or do you have a session? That session also make input for you and income generation too. So, do you think to create an institution of teaching others and creating people like you, mostly the female one, so that they can teach to their children, because they stay long hours in their home. So as the men need only bread, they don't do that's everyone. They don't do the job. So the men also have to learn how to do it at home, not only putting on the bread like that. So what do you have to the next generation?
Okay, you've had 3 minutes. You've inspired me to use this thing. So when this goes to 1, I stop you.
Thanks so much. I'm really excited to be here. And you guys have quite a journey. It's really inspiring. And I only have one question. The question will be for both of you. So, what keeps you going? I mean, you've passed through different challenges, but what keeps you to move farther, to do not quit? And the second question is for this challenge. So, can I have it down? Thank you, that's all.
Thanks, Go on.
So I would really want to thank the work you guys are doing in transforming the agricultural sector. My name is, by the way, Abel. I came from Levi Plaza Real Estate. I work as a human resource assistant manager. And I do hope to join you in the agricultural sector soon. So what I was thinking of him is, what about the risks that are facing our agricultural sectors right now here in Ethiopia? Is there any data? Is there any research? Can we know about the risks and the challenges are now facing will be the solutions for tomorrow, right? So the next one is what about the risks involving in farm business generally? I'd like to know more about it. Thank you for your time.
So now, Magdab, I think it's you next.
እንደምን አላችሁ? ሰላም። So thank you so much for inviting us, Social Enterprise Ethiopia, for hosting us, Madam Ambassador. So my name is Begdem. I came from an international NGO called Reach for Change. And our mere reason for existence is to support local social entrepreneurs. And I'm really happy that the conversation is actually about supporting, enabling, and sharing experience for local social entrepreneurs. And really it's a worthy evening. At some point when Dagmar was speaking, I was thinking, when should I buy this insurance? I don't even have a farm.
Salesman of the year.
You're really good at it. And Yazid, definitely I will have a selfie with you with the day so that I can take it to my daughter. She loves this job. So what I really want to talk about, or maybe pick your brain, is usually when we talk about entrepreneurship or opening a business, we really think about the money. But I think networking, or our network is our net worth, as they say. So can you a little bit share your experience about collaboration? About who helped you? I think Yazid has mentioned it a little bit, but what is the user's takeaway in terms of exploring networking opportunities, capitalizing on those kind of opportunities, and not merely focusing on the challenge of the government bureaucracies, but at the same time the challenge from financial perspective. And then building on this, then how can we build in the ecosystem more collaborative environment rather than competitive environment? Thank you so much.
I know I gave you 2 minutes, but your question made more sense than the men's. I'm in camera. It's give women a voice. Okay, Ibrahim, you have?
I really appreciate both presenters, in addition to actually the organizer, the Embassy Plus C, Social Enterprise Ethiopia. I'm Brahanu Gabriel Mikael from IBASPA. IBASPA is an NGO, Ethiopian Business Advisory Service Providers Association, for which I'm a Secretary General, and Yagara Trading Share Company President, because it's a nationwide kind of enterprise. And I do have actually here 2 things for you, for that, really appreciating that one. Last week I was in an event on contract farming by GIZ and Lersha. I think I have seen some faces here who participated in it. The one now you started, that's actually here what we all wish. I mean, very innovative ideas that can support, especially the smallholder farmers, the backbone of the economy. Actually, here the agriculture sector, I think it's a very important intervention that you are engaged in. How, I mean, bringing experience from other countries to Ethiopia, I think that's what we have to do. Usually as experts, as professionals, as people who are able to bring actually here the knowledge, experience, spillover, so that we develop our country. How are you creating the local capacity, especially the youth part? One. Second, the collaboration actually which actually initiated it. Because here alone, an organization, an initiative alone cannot reach all regions within a very short period of time. So if we have to multiply the effects of what you are doing, I think it requires to engage local ones, I think, in that way. Just I want your say. Thank you.
Thank you. The last.
My name is Miriam Rezai. I have a small startup. I'm a farmer. My question to Dagmar is, I was once working around the Rift Valley area in Hidi and Kaliti areas. There's another Kaliti area in Dabrazay. So I have been practicing farming with leasing from farmers, smallholder farmers, who have smaller patches, which is less than 0.25 hectares. And the title deeds were given to women as part of the encouragement, I don't know, an affirmative action by the government. So I had then experienced a crop failure the first time I started there. And I was thinking about finding a micro insurer for crops because I had encountered that problem. The problem there is, unless you have the land title, the existing insurers will not give you, they don't have the product, they don't have the premium. So that title deed or the way the land is appropriated around that area affect your business in any way? Or do you target the missing the micro insurance for smaller farmers who has smaller patch, which is less than half an hectare?
Makes sense.
Thank you. You have
Thank you for the questions. And the first question was by Nati, was what do you do for the next generation? Yeah, what do you do? I really, I mean, this is also one of the sharing experiences also, you know, not only teaching, but how to do business, how to start small and grow. I also share my experience, not only making jam, but also, you know, how to grow, even with my co-workers. I always develop people every day, you know, to be the best in what they do. That's what I assume. That's what we lack. So many of us, to be the best wherever they are. If she is a cleaner, I told her that this is your job. Be the best at it. If she's a product manager, like a factory manager, I said, okay, you will be dream big. You will be one of, even calling them a name of the minister, you will be one of that, but you have to be the best. So I always try to teach to be the best on what they work. And the other thing is, yeah, I don't have a social media network, but whenever I got a chance, I do share my experience to people who are interested. But nowadays, since whenever I go to so many meetings and ask them, well, is there my children love it. And yesterday we were together and the facilitator was saying that, oh, I didn't know you, but I know your product and my children love it. And I buy it even in cartons. And I got all these this, admiration in children loves, and I was thinking yesterday and sit down, what do I do? How am I going to bring these kids together and then, tell my story? And, so I'm thinking about it, especially for children who really love our products, and teach them what is my experience and grow from there. So if there is any other way, I'd love to share my experience if it is a benefit for the positive for the others. So that's what I do. And the best question is what keeps me going. There are several times I just sit down and think, by the way, I have never regret. I have never say I will stop and shut down. I always think of my coworkers. We usually hire young girls finishing high school. It could be finishing college. And when they start with them, how shy they are, they just undermine themselves and down after 6 months, shine. And then I said, when I have some problem, I just think of them. I just make an impact for one girl, for 2 girls. And when I say a story and say that all children loves jam, that's also my strength. And when I think of starting that, getting all the post-harvest loss, thinking from in the value chain, when I think that at least I have do what I can. Maybe when you see that the post-harvest loss in the value chain is about 30%, which is very huge. And it could be 0.01%, I don't care, but I am contributing what I can do. So those are the points that really makes me going. And I'm not a profit-oriented. I always, whatever I get, I just invest and try to expand. And I'm not interested in, getting an empire, but I just want to make impact wherever I go, what I can.
Hashtag we love local products.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah. That was it. Was there any? The love jam? You want jam, so I'm going to give you. Ask him, that shall be given.
So I think, by the way, one quick question was, what does it mean, the day, anything?
Yeah, it's a family acronym.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's a family acronym. I have 2 boys, which that was also one of the things I once. It was very unfortunate. Both of my children live abroad, but I hope they will come back and run. Somebody asked me, "What's your dream about about the day, about your product, about your company?" I just want my company to be transgenerational, because I love when a company says it has been 300 years, 400 years, So I just want to be one of that, and maybe. I know that I'm not going to be 300 years, but I'm sure that it will be. So, yeah.
Great. I feel like I'm also the moderator. All right. Oh, wait. Someone actually sent me. I thought it was a love letter. There's a question. First question, I think, is around how do you include youth, children, women. It's a very inclusive program, and when I say inclusive, when we do train farmers at a Kabale level, could be during the farmer training days. There's something called FTS, Farmer Training School. They usually come with their children because most of them cannot read and write, as you know. When we're providing them with insurance vouchers, usually it's the kids that call back on our hotline to ask us, what does this mean? So we always encourage farmers to come with their children, so that for 2 benefits. 1, farmers do understand what we're doing. 2, tomorrow, we believe right now there's there's aging population in most of the rural parts of the country. So children will come to the city, no one is taking care of the land. That's something we're seeing. But now when we're actually teaching farmers together with their children, that's how children will be confident to stay in their farms, given that they're protected against all the risks that's chasing them away to Addis Ababa or Bahar Dar, right? So there's a huge linkage there, and we work very closely with local youth. Another question that was asked. Our 1,000 agents are youth from the same area, the same village, speaking the same language, trusted by farmers as well as the government system. So pretty much what we do is youth focused and youth oriented, and that way we try to push this. Second one is what keeps you going. So many things, man. It was a you. So many things. One is results, right? We live for results. It's not for money. It's never personally. It's never been for money. Money is the outcome or the side benefit, right? But results having my LinkedIn bio saying insured 1 million farmers, that keeps me going. You know, going like doing 7 million, 10 million, right? Payouts, another one. Payouts. When a farmer has incurred risk and I'm handing over the check, a lot of people don't like that, right? I'm paying out, but that actually keeps me going because I know my product is working. So when I hand over that check to farmers, and you can go check my LinkedIn page. When we've done several times, we sit on a panel, we bring farmers, we ask them, what are you going to do with this payout? And they tell us, I'll buy inputs for next year. Now I don't have to pull my kid out of school. Now I don't have to, I can use my ukub money for what I had planned to use it for. So those things are really important. But the thing is, at the end of the day, there's the farmers and also the employees, right? I'm responsible for all of these people. I need to make it work, not just for me, but then 1,000 employees times 3 per household, that's 3,000 people. So that's what keeps me up at 3 a.m. in the morning, and I'm like, what do I do next? It's a very important issue, but we don't have those wins every day. One thing I'll tell you. And I always tell my associates here, 1 win a week for me is okay, sometimes a month. Today I've got 1, by the way, so I'm really happy you found me in a good mood. I have the win of the week already. So I got out of the office hearing some great news, right? So not always we have those wins, but then when we have them, just sit down, relax, enjoy it. Because the problem I've seen in startups, you have 1 win, you rush to the next problem. We're always on problem-solving mode. Just celebrate yourselves. You deserve it. And what risks are there? 3 risks, right? One is mentioned by ma'am here. Production risks are there, which is mostly climate-related stuff, right? Drought is there, pest and disease. There's something called yellow rust, which has become very prone in Ethiopia. Which farmers are suffering, and it has actually adopted to the pesticides and herbicides. So now whatever herbicides and pesticides you put, still there's a production loss. Year on year, season 30%, 40% loss has become very common. Very common, and this is on the production side. Then there's post-harvest loss. For example, horti products, timati, you cannot imagine if you go to this Merti area how much of it, just because of a simple intervention of not putting it in a plastic crate, just putting it in that wooden crate, 30% of it would be lost. A simple intervention, putting it in a plastic crate, will lower that post-harvest loss by 15%. So this is a challenge. And finally, there's market linkage. So much brokers in the system, the usual things, yada yada. We know them, right? But all of this have solutions. That's the beauty of it. And I've taken one part of it. Which is the production aspect. I'm sure someone is working on the post-harvest loss. Someone is working on the market as well. So that's why we say it's an ecosystem way of building this. And one last point there, network is networks. I always say that, right? When I joined Pula and when I tried to enable the Ethiopian market, one of the things I've done is, most of my friends, they're in their 50s and 60s. Surprising as that sounds. I hang out with seasoned people, as I'd like to put it. So I knew a lot of seasoned people in Ethiopia that helped me push a lot of things with simple phone calls. Because it's not about what you know, to eventually become about who you know in business. So I sit down and I have a blocker. I call one of my seasoned friends and tell them, can you please connect me to X? Can you please connect me to Y? And having a good reputation, it really helps. So use these opportunities. There are some people in this room I see across this type of events everywhere, and I really, really, really appreciate you people, because I see you. That's how you build your brand. That's how people know you. That's how people trust you, right? So have a brand, have a reputation, and then that repo eventually will come through. Insurance, local insurance. We as Pula, we are providing expertise to the local insurers. So it's never an international company coming in and telling them what to do or doing it ourselves. The 5 local insurers we work with, we give them the technical support. We give them systems to underwrite the policy. We give them systems to determine the risks and price the product. So it's never alone. It's with local insurers. So it goes, we're the technical partners to them. So it's never us doing or reinforcing things. So there's a huge element of having the local use for employment, using the local insurers, using local content and local, everything is local. The only thing international is Pula, and I think in the sense of where we operate, I feel like a very local company integrated into the local ecosystem. One last question, and I like what you asked. You're gonna get me technical though. In insurance, there's 3 layers of insurance: micro, meso, and macro. Micro insurance is what he was talking about, or a motor policy insurance is a micro insurance. To sell an insurance to her, to him, what I have to do is everyone has to sign the policy individually, which requires title deeds and a bunch of other requirements. Where we've become the game changer is we know micro insurance will never work, because am I going to go knock 7 million doors? Is it gonna work? No, it's not gonna work. There's something called meso insurance. So you find an aggregator. In our case, the aggregator are the regional bureaus of agriculture. They will be working on the behalf of the farmers, read the policy, add terms, remove conditions, and negotiate on the behalf of the farmers. That way, you don't need to collect all the title deeds of the farmer. So this is a meso insurance policy. And that's how we could actually go to scale in agri-insurance. So the micro insurance model will never work to scale. So now we've introduced to the local insurers, we've introduced this meso concept. So now they're pushing meso. So no more title deeds and all the other things. Another thing you can do is you can even use your insurance certificate to go to a bank and get lending done. Do you know how much of a game changer that is for smallholder farmers? Mm-hmm. They can say, we are insured. Now give me loan. That's my collateral. Insurance can become a collateral. So pretty much game changer. One last question that came from over there. It says, it's pretty much, let me quickly translate. Yeah, so it's around traditional medicine practitioners. They grow a lot of traditional plants that help them support what they do. Can it be insured is the question. Earlier I said we have protocols for over 22 crops, cereals, which includes even horti products that could be insured. When we joined Ethiopia, we didn't have a protocol for teff because teff is not grown anywhere, for example. So we had to develop a product from scratch for teff. How does harvesting work? How do you do loss assessment and so on and so forth? So if it's feasible for any herb or for any type of plant, a protocol can be developed and can be insured. We insure all sorts of interesting things, from cashew to sesame to cocoa to coffee. Some of the crops I've not even heard of exist in Ethiopia or even in East Africa. So yes, we do that, so long as feasible. I think I've answered all of this.
Just quickly, close. Please give a warm applause to Chatham and to Nagmari for this really great presentation and sharing of experiences. Thank you so much. And today I'd like to make a special tribute to the ambassador. This is the third time that you've had us here. I know that your time is going to come to an end within the next year. So I really want to thank you. I want to thank you on behalf of Social Enterprise Ethiopia, everyone that's here and everyone that's been here the past 3 years. Thank you so much.